What if I told you that everything you've been taught about wealth is a lie? That the real secrets to financial freedom, escaping the paycheck to paycheck cycle, building lasting wealth, never having to work a traditional job again, were written thousands of years ago in a book most people overlook? And what if I told you that one of the wealthiest men in history mastered these principles long before billionaires like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or Warren Buffett? His name was King Solomon. He controlled more wealth than entire nations. His fortune, adjusted for today's value, would make him worth over $2 trillion. Yet, he didn't build this empire through labor or inheritance. Instead, he followed a blueprint, one so powerful that even today's richest people unknowingly follow in his footsteps. But here's the catch. Most people will never apply these lessons. They'll keep working jobs they hate, living paycheck to paycheck, trapped in a cycle Solomon warned about 3,000 years ago. But a small percentage, the ones who understand these principles, will break free. In this video, we're uncovering the hidden financial wisdom of King Solomon, the same strategies that built one of the greatest fortunes in history, and how they can help you escape the 9-to-5 forever. This is information they don't want you to know. Are you ready? Let's begin. Section 1. Who was King Solomon really? You've probably heard the name King Solomon. Some say he was the wisest man who ever lived. Others claim he was the wealthiest ruler in history. But few people truly understand who he was and how he built an empire so vast that even modern billionaires pale in comparison. Solomon ruled ancient Israel around 970 BCE. He was the son of King David, the same David who defeated Goliath and inherited a kingdom already powerful. But what Solomon did next changed everything. Unlike other rulers who relied on war or oppression to expand their empires, Solomon took a different approach. He didn't conquer, he influenced. He formed strategic alliances through diplomacy and trade, securing vast amounts of gold, silver, and rare resources. He controlled lucrative trade routes between Africa, Asia, and Europe, making his kingdom a financial superpower. He invested in knowledge, writing over 3,000 proverbs and studying everything from business to psychology to leadership. And most importantly, he understood money in a way few ever have. At the height of his reign, Solomon's personal fortune was estimated to be worth $2.2 trillion in today's money. That's more than Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates combined. But here's what's even more shocking. He didn't inherit this wealth. He built it, using principles that are still just as powerful today. But while most people focus on Solomon's riches, they miss the real secret. His wealth wasn't just about money. It was about wisdom. And he left behind a blueprint that reveals exactly how anyone can achieve financial freedom. But there was a dark side to his success, one that few people talk about. Because despite his wisdom, Solomon made one fatal mistake, and it cost him everything. We'll get to that. But first, let's break down the exact financial principles he followed and how they still apply today. Section 2, the Blueprint for Wealth, Solomon's Hidden Financial Principles. So how did King Solomon, a man born into royalty but not into extreme wealth, become one of the richest figures in history? Simple. He followed a blueprint, one so powerful that even today's wealthiest people unknowingly use the same principles to build their empires. And what's even crazier? This blueprint is still accessible to anyone willing to follow it. Solomon left behind several financial laws, but 3 of them stand above the rest. 1. Wealth comes from wisdom, not labor. Most people believe that the only way to build wealth is to work hard, climb the corporate ladder, or trade their time for money. But Solomon, he thought differently. In Proverbs 8, verse 18, he wrote, "With me are riches and honor, enduring wealth and prosperity." He wasn't talking about a job. He was talking about wisdom. Solomon understood that money follows intelligence. The more you understand business, investments, and human nature, the less you have to rely on physical labor. That's why instead of working for money, he made money work for him. He studied commerce and controlled international trade. He invested in land, livestock, and precious metals. He created multiple streams of income, ensuring that wealth flowed to him even while he slept. The lesson? If you want to be wealthy, stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an investor. 2. Diversification is the key to stability. Another secret Solomon understood long before Wall Street ever existed was the power of diversification. He warned, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Ecclesiastes 11. Translation? Never rely on a single source of income. Solomon's kingdom was rich because he didn't depend on just one thing. He traded gold, silver, spices, and rare goods. He built massive agriculture and livestock industries. He had a navy that brought in exotic treasures from distant lands. He invested in real estate, building entire cities and infrastructure. Compare that to the modern world. The richest people don't rely on just a paycheck. They own businesses, stocks, real estate, and intellectual property. Meanwhile, the average person depends on a single salary. And when that income stops, so does their financial security. Solomon's lesson is clear. The more income streams you have, the harder it is to lose everything. Half 3. Long-term thinking creates lasting wealth. The final and most overlooked lesson from Solomon: the rich think in decades, the poor think in paychecks. In Proverbs 13:22, Solomon wrote, "A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children." Translation? Wealth isn't just about today, it's about setting up future generations. This is why Solomon built massive infrastructure projects and invested in assets that grew over time. He understood that true wealth wasn't about quick cash, it was about building something that outlived him. Compare that to today. The wealthy invest in long-term assets like stocks, businesses, and real estate. The poor chase fast money, lottery tickets, gambling, risky investments. Solomon knew the truth. If your wealth disappears the moment you stop working, you don't actually have wealth, you have temporary income. But the question is, if Solomon was so wise, why did everything fall apart in the end? Because while he mastered wealth, he ignored the one fatal mistake that cost him everything. And what happened next shocked the entire world. Section 3. Solomon's downfall, the mistake that destroyed his wealth and legacy. Solomon had everything: wealth, wisdom, power, and influence. He built an empire so strong that people traveled from all over the world just to hear him speak. But in the end, he lost it all. And the reason? He broke his own rules. Here's how the richest man in biblical history ruined his own legacy. 1. He ignored his own wisdom. Solomon's entire financial empire was built on discipline, wisdom, and long-term thinking. But as his wealth grew, so did his ego. Instead of staying focused, he became obsessed with luxury, excess, and power. In 1 Kings 11:3, it says, "He had 700 wives and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray." This wasn't just about relationships. This was a financial disaster. Each new wife meant more alliances, more expensive palaces, more gifts, and more political deals. His spending spiraled out of control. He imported gold in massive quantities, covering entire rooms in solid gold decorations. He built a fleet of ships just to bring in exotic animals and rare treasures. He heavily taxed his own people to fund his extravagant lifestyle. At first, his empire could handle it, but then the cracks started to show. 2. He became addicted to debt. Solomon's spending became so excessive that he had to borrow money from foreign nations. And just like today, debt is a dangerous trap. He started trading land and resources to pay off what he owed. He gave away entire cities to foreign rulers just to cover his expenses. He taxed his people so heavily that resentment grew across the kingdom. The wealth he built wasn't sustainable anymore. It was built on borrowed time. This is a warning sign for anyone today. How many people buy cars, houses, and luxuries on credit, thinking they can afford them? How many nations print money and go deeper into debt, hoping they'll figure it out later? Solomon, the wisest man in history, fell into the same trap. He failed to secure his legacy. Perhaps Solomon's biggest mistake was this: he never trained the next generation to handle his wealth. His son, Rehoboam, inherited the throne after him. But there was a problem. Rehoboam was nothing like his father. Instead of leading with wisdom, he was reckless, arrogant, and cruel. The moment he became king, he made a fatal decision. The people begged him, Your father taxed us heavily. Please lower the burden. And what did Rehoboam say? My father made your yoke heavy. I will make it even heavier. That was it. The kingdom collapsed. The people revolted, the nation split in two, and Solomon's once great empire was destroyed. The final lesson: wisdom must be maintained. Solomon's story proves one thing: wealth is easy to build. Keeping it is the real challenge. He knew how to make money, but forgot how to control his spending. He built a financial empire, but didn't protect it from debt. He secured his own future, but failed to prepare his son for leadership. And that's the tragic part. Solomon had the blueprint for lasting success, but in the end, he ignored his own teachings. And what happened next? His empire crumbled. His wealth disappeared. His name became a cautionary tale. The question is, are we making the same mistakes today? Section 4. How modern millionaires use Solomon's strategies and how you can too. Solomon may have lived 3,000 years ago, but his financial wisdom is still being used by the richest and most powerful people today. From billionaires to business leaders, those who truly understand wealth are following the same principles Solomon taught. The best part? You can use these same strategies too. Here's how. 1. They don't work for money. They make money work for them. Solomon didn't chase after a paycheck. He built assets that created wealth without him working for it. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. This means never rely on one source of income. Invest in multiple ventures to protect yourself. Use your money to build wealth, not just survive. Modern example: Jeff Bezos didn't get rich by working a job. He built Amazon, an asset that keeps making money 24/7. Elon Musk reinvests his wealth into companies like Tesla and SpaceX instead of sitting on cash. Real estate investors buy properties that generate income whether they work or not. How you can apply it: start building assets like investments, real estate, or a business. Focus on passive income streams that make money while you sleep. Think long term. Don't just work for money, make money work for you. 2. They avoid debt that controls them. One of Solomon's biggest mistakes was falling into debt. He started borrowing from foreign nations, which eventually ruined his empire. The borrower is slave to the lender. Proverbs 22, verse 7. Today, the wealthy use debt strategically, but they never let it control them. Modern example: Warren Buffett avoids personal debt and only uses loans when they create long-term wealth. Successful investors borrow money only when it multiplies their assets, not to fund a lifestyle. How you can apply it: avoid high-interest debt, credit cards, unnecessary loans. Only use debt if it makes you money, real estate, business investments. Live below your means and save for opportunities instead of borrowing. 3. They protect their wealth by planning for the future. Solomon's biggest failure? He didn't prepare the next generation. His son destroyed everything because he never learned how to manage wealth. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Modern example: the Rockefeller family built generational wealth through trusts and investments. Smart entrepreneurs teach their kids financial literacy so they don't waste their fortune. How you can apply it: learn about long-term investing, wills, and financial planning. Pass down knowledge, not just money, so your family knows how to manage wealth. Focus on creating a lasting financial legacy. 4. They invest in wisdom, not just wealth. Solomon knew something far more valuable than gold. Wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Even the wealthiest people today understand this. Money without wisdom is worthless. Modern example: Bill Gates reads 50 books a year to keep learning. Elon Musk taught himself rocket science by reading and studying. Successful investors constantly educate themselves on finance, markets, and economics. How you can apply it: read books on wealth, business, and personal growth. Learn skills that increase your income and opportunities. Surround yourself with successful, knowledgeable people. Hasher 5. They give generously, and it multiplies their wealth. This is one of Solomon's most overlooked secrets. Give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. Proverbs 11, verse 24. The wealthiest people in history understand the power of giving. Modern example, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have donated billions and still remain incredibly wealthy. Successful business leaders often reinvest in their communities, which expands their influence. How you can apply it. Give not just money, but time, knowledge, and value to others. Support causes, charities, or people in need. Understand that true wealth comes from impact, not just accumulation. Final takeaway, Solomon's blueprint still works today. Wealth isn't about luck, it's about strategy. Solomon's principles have lasted for thousands of years because they're based on timeless wisdom. And the wealthy? They're using them right now, while most people ignore them. So the question is, are you going to apply these principles to your own life? Or will you make the same mistakes as Solomon and lose everything? Now that you know Solomon's secrets, the choice is yours. Will you start building real wealth with wisdom, or will you stay trapped in the cycle of working for money? If you found this valuable, make sure to like and subscribe for more insights on wealth, success, and the hidden wisdom that can change your life.